opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
Ganja my meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja we take away my stress and strain. Ganja my meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja my meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me heavens and they make me feel pure. 100 ways to call it, we need bring it on door. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my clothes. No offense, I'm smoking another one around you.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Ganja News Update for this Monday, June the 22nd, 2026, here on NOK Network. And we are at episode 171, folks. And this is the video news podcast focused on cannabis news being reported in mainstream media. And as always, I'm joined by my amazing joint host right on over here, Tara Simpson. And good morning, Tara. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Ron. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. A little worn out from doing a lot of work in the gardens, as we were talking about just before the show. And yesterday I had a crash day, and it was a well-deserved rest. But back at her again today after the show.
Yeah, I hear you. I had a busy couple of days working in the gardens and remulching gardens and building chicken runs and, all those great things that I do in what I call spare time.
Spare time? What's that, right?
But it's my happy place. I do love being in the garden, and even if it's, it's a lot of work, weeding gardens is no joke. It takes all day to, pull a small fraction of the weeds that develop over the course of a couple of days. It's a bit of a tedious task, but I enjoy it. I find myself feeling very at peace being in my garden and watching my plants grow and, talking to my chickens. And that might make me crazy, but I don't care.
I thought you were going to say talking to your plants too.
Well, I do. Yeah. I do tell them they're growing beautifully. That's important.
Exactly. The plants love to hear good things like that, right?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, a lot of work around here as well. And then later today, I am off to Hamilton to go see my grandson and watch him for the evening, so his parents can go out because his dad has been selected as an opening act for Chris Wiebe.
Oh, wow.
Not sure who he is, but apparently he's some big hip hop guy that everybody follows. I don't follow hip hop, so I really couldn't tell you, but it's apparently a big deal. So that's going to be kind of cool.
That is cool. I like hip hop, but I don't follow anything really per se. I just enjoy listening to some of the music here and there. I like the kind of beat. But yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool that he's going to be the opening act there. So
yeah,
very
cool exposure.
So exciting. Yeah. So anyways, I guess we better get to what we're here for, is reading our top stories in cannabis news. And we're going to do just that. And we have our first story here coming to us from Stratcan Media and Events. And such a beautiful looking building there. And but Health Canada orders Ontario Cannabis Store to remove colorful mural. And there's what the store looks like right now, currently, folks. And Health Canada has told them to paint it over. Health Canada has told a cannabis retailer about 2 hours north of Toronto that it must remove a large colorful mural from the outside of its building. Treats Cannabis, an independently run store in the community of Collingwood, had an artist paint a mural on the outside. The mural includes various characters painted in bright colors. Store manager Jordan Wanamaker tells Simpo.com that the owners recently received an email from Health Canada citing federal regulations that prohibit the depiction of a person, character, or animal, whether real or fictional, or imagery that appeals to young people. And there's a quote here saying, "We're trying to be different," he said, "away from the mainstream type of cannabis dispensary. We wanted to be creative and make it attractive. We want people to come and enjoy themselves. It was a nice facelift to what used to be because it was kind of lackluster. So we want to keep the imagination going, make it fun." The story, which the company shared on social media, has gained them local attention, with some coming by to grab a picture of the mural before it's gone. The owners plan to adhere to Health Canada's email, planning to paint over it soon, and are not entirely defeated.
Yeah, so this has been floating around for about a week on social media, and lots of people have chimed in on this for obvious reasons, right? I mean, okay, granted, cartoons can appeal to children, but then again, so can all of those brightly colored LCBO drinks you can get, that have same flavors as some of the pops you can get in the store. And the packaging, again, is bright and colorful and appeals to people's want to buy with their eyes before they buy with their mouth, right? So if that can be kind of switched over to this, I would say this is the same case. So we're appealing to kids in liquor stores and advertising all of these cool drinks for adult consumption only on TV, where children have access to this information. Right. But heaven forbid a cannabis store make it fun on the outside, because, it's not like, stoners don't appreciate cartoons, right? It's all about appealing to the children. And I don't agree in this case, because again, you can't even get past the door without showing ID. You can't bring your child in there, but you can in an LCBO store. So where is the harm that's being done with their depictions on the outside, making it fun? I don't disagree with this. Again, as a parent, it is your job to educate your children on both alcohol and cannabis.
Exactly.
Right? So just my take on it. I've had a few debates online about this, because I don't think they're treating this fairly, if I'm being honest, across the board. If you can do these things with alcohol, why is it that you can't do this with cannabis? And why are we keeping this propaganda stigma alive? It's ludicrous.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just because it's so new on our plate, we're coming up with ideas. So we're not exactly sure yet. Wanamaker told simco.com a solid color is probably the default move, but we might think of something that's still creative, but not for any of the children. Trees Cannabis opened in Collingwood on April 20th, 2021. The mural was painted in 2023 after the artist reached out to the store. One of the store owners who spoke with StratCan says the mural has become a staple of the community, and many are sad to see it go. Still, he and his partners have already heard from other local artists who are offering to try something different once a neutral coat has been applied over the current mural. Ontario lists 7 cannabis stores as authorized to open in Collingwood, with 2 being independently owned stores rather than chains. Federal as well as provincial regulators dictate how cannabis retailers can promote and market cannabis products and brands, which includes what is visible to young people. In order to adhere to federal regulations, many provinces have required window coverings for cannabis retailers to prevent the general public, which could include young people, from seeing anything cannabis related inside. Some provinces, such as Ontario, BC, and Alberta, have repealed those rules. Those stores must still ensure that product placements are not visible to those outside the store. In March of 2026, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario told cannabis retailers in the province to remove any reference to the word dispensary from their website and online storefronts. The agency quickly reversed the policy, though, after an outcry from the industry. Well, that's because that's what they are. They're dispensaries.
Right.
Although there's no public record of Health Canada issuing penalties to retailers for promoting and marketing violations, it has included public notices of 3 administrative monetary penalties under the Cannabis Act against cannabis producer brands, including 2 for a combined $500,000, which was later reduced to $25,000. Wow. So again, if you walk up to any LCBO and peer through the window, you will see the bottles on display within the store.
Yep.
Right from the windows.
Yeah. It's crazy. Make it make sense, right?
The double standard is absolutely insane. And this is all over something that is less harmful than alcohol. And that we have already proven through studies since legalization has occurred, there has not been an uptake in youth cannabis consumption. So what's the issue here?
Right. And another thing with cannabis is they're not allowed to advertise about it being good or fun or anything like that. But yet, look at this. This is here. Let me come up full screen with us here. This is on the LCBO website where you can purchase alcohol from Ontario. You can you can purchase online or walk into their store. Smirnoff Ice, Life of the Party pack. Life of the Party. There you go.
Right. We're not promoting alcohol in a fun and, possibly youth-oriented space, right? I mean, this is accessible online. Children can actually go and look this up online.
Look at the colors. Yeah, it's not the website. The website's not age-gated.
No.
Like I just realized that LCBO is not.
Those look like colorful, fruity drinks that a child would want to consume because they resemble pop or juice or their favorite slushie or right. But yet cannabis can't have colorful cartoons on the outside of a storefront because that might promote cannabis use to youth.
Right. The flavors on this is Ice Original, Creamsicle Blast, Berry Blast, and Ice Pink Lemonade.
Yeah, can't buy any of those types of flavors of pops or juices in stores. No. Right?
Makes sense, right?
How come they don't have to have a plain package just with the product name on the outside, all black cans, everyone's looks the same?
Right.
Why is it only cannabis that has to do this? It's very interesting.
And let's bring it right back. I'll close off this story with one real crazy thing. Walk down any cereal aisle. Right.
And those are full of harmful sugars and chemicals and everything else. And it's all marketed to
children. All at eye level. And in fact, where the placement of is so the kids can go and grab it. Hey, mom, buy this, right?
Right. Are we promoting healthy things to children? No, those boxes aren't colorful at all.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to go on to our next story. And this one here is, again, I try not to get stories from the same source in the same show. And especially not right after each other. But this is also from StratCan, and it's. I tried looking up other sources for these two stories, and StratCan had the best coverage on both of these. So, do you mind starting this one off for us?
Yeah, so this one is coming to us from stratcan.com. Union warns of possible Ontario cannabis store labor action as negotiations continue. And this was written on June 18th by David Brown. labor union representing some workers at the Ontario Cannabis Store is warning cannabis retailers across the province of potential labor disruption that the union says could affect services. In a letter sent to cannabis retailers on June 15th, 2026, the Ontario Public Service Employees Union warns of ongoing negotiations and possible labor disruptions if union demands are not met following a final bargaining session with the OCS on June 22nd. The union represents approximately 20,000 members across Ontario, including employees at the OCS. The OPSEU represents a specific bargaining unit of employees at the Ontario Cannabis Retail Corporation, which operates as the OCS, rather than the entire OCS workforce. In April 2022, the OCS and the OPSEU ratified their first collective agreement, which spanned 3 years, from April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2025. In its 2025 to 2028 business plan, the OCS says it expects to begin engaging with OPSEU in 2025 on discussions related to a new collective agreement. Unlike the 2 job actions in BC in 2022 and 2025 that severely impacted distribution, Ontario's centralized wholesale distribution warehouse is operated by a third-party contractor, Domain Logistics, whose workers are not unionized. Interesting. I didn't realize OCS was unionized in any way.
Yeah, they are. I didn't know that either. But it's not the whole thing. It's kind of split up and broken up into different classifications of workers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, where did you leave off there?
The bargaining unit.
Bargaining unit. Okay, the bargaining unit represented by OPSEU, SCFPO at the OCS consists largely of frontline corporate and contact center personnel. While management is excluded, various roles are governed by the Ontario Public Service, or the OPS, Unified Collective Agreement. While within the OCS, this typically includes positions such as customer care and contact center representatives who manage B2B and B2C relations. For those who don't know what those terms are, that's business to business and business to consumer relations, or business to customer, as well as creative project specialists and administrative assistants. Other unionized staff work in specialized functions, including digital product specialists and various finance and accounting roles, such as financial administrative assistants. Many in the cannabis industry are understandably concerned. The most recent strike in BC, which affected public sector workers at the BC Liquor Distribution Branch's cannabis warehouse, lasted more than a month, with sales in the province declining nearly 1/4. At the same time, any potential strike might not have the same impact as in BC, but even the possibility of disruption is concerning for businesses that are often struggling to keep the lights on each month in a highly competitive industry. The OCS's corporate communications team tells StratCan via email that they became aware of this letter on June 17th, 2026. They tell StratCan the agency has been negotiating with OPSEU since the fall of 2025 to reach a fair and balanced collective agreement. There's a quote here saying, "We remain focused on productive, constructive discussions and will continue bargaining efforts at the next scheduled meeting on June 22nd, 2026, noted the email. We're committed to reaching an agreement that works for all parties in line with other public sector union agreements. At the same time, we respect the collective bargaining process, including employees' legal right of employees to take strike action should they choose to do so. As of today, no lawful strike deadline has been triggered and bargaining is continuing."
Wow, that's crazy. Again, it's so weird that they're unionized, and so quickly. I mean, they haven't been around that long.
No.
Yeah, the OCS has robust business continuity plans in place to minimize any potential business disruptions. Continued the communications team. We will maintain reliable service for our retail and producer partners, and will continue to ensure consistency in ordering and delivery. We're committed to ongoing communication and collaboration with all our partners, and will continue to provide timely updates as information is confirmed. Approximately 20% of the OCS's workforce are OPSU members employed in various roles throughout the organization, according to OCS Corporate Communications Team. The union tells StratCan that OCS workers are seeking basic improvements to sick leave, personal emergency leave, vacation, and wages. These improvements would bring OCS workers closer to comparable cannabis agencies, such as the Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Commission, and other Ontario public sector agencies, such as the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, noted John F. Kilshaw, Vice President, Local 553. Over the course of the 10 bargaining dates with the employer, our goal has been to find the middle ground. Unfortunately, OCS management has refused to budge on these key issues. We recognize the potential impact of an OCS labor disruption on retailers and the broader cannabis industry, he added. That's why our preference is to resolve this at the negotiation table. If an employer is unwilling to negotiate a fair deal, then OCS workers are prepared to take any and all actions, including a strike. We intend to continue negotiations with the employer on June 22nd and hope that they are constructive. If the employer is not prepared to offer a fair deal, members have given us a mandate to strike action if necessary. Next steps, explained Kilshaw in an email, would be requesting a no board report from the Ontario Labour Board. Once received, this would trigger a 17-day timeline for a legal strike or lockout. Wow. In this 17-day period, a legally mandated cooling off window, often used to allow final negotiations. In 2025, authorized cannabis stores across Ontario sold over 441 million grams of cannabis, totaling more than 2.28 billion in illegal sales. Wow, that's crazy.
That is. That's just 1 year.
That's crazy.
1 year.
Yeah.
$2.28 billion in sales.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
People are buying a lot of weed.
That's, yeah. And that's just legal industry. And
right?
That's just in Ontario. That I don't think includes like Alberta and stuff, right?
No.
They have their own.
That's just Ontario only.
Wow.
For 1 year. Wow. Anyways, moving on to our next story, and our last story before the break is the story here coming to us from ABC News, and something we've been following up on for a little bit. And this is some new emerging information coming on this story. Supreme Court allows some marijuana users to own guns, limiting federal gun ban. The court's decision was unanimous, and this is by Devin Dwyer, published on June 18th of this year. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court on Thursday ruled that a long-standing federal ban on guns for unlawful users of any controlled substance is unconstitutional as applied to a Texas gun owner who used marijuana several times a week. The decision set new limits on federal prosecution of gun owners who are targeted simply for having a history of drug use. It was especially welcomed by millions of American cannabis users who have had to disarm or risk up to 15 years behind bars. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote in the court's opinion that unlawful drug use alone cannot be grounds to seek to send someone to prison and potentially force them to give up firearms for life. There's a quote here. "We do not question that sometimes an individual's unlawful use of marijuana or any other controlled substance may render him a danger to others," Gorsuch wrote. But again, the government disclaims the need to show anything like that in this case. Affording the government that kind of broad power to designate any group as dangerous and thereby disqualify its members from having a gun would risk allowing it to quickly swallow the Second Amendment. The Justice Department has said it prosecutes roughly 300 cases a year in which a violation of the drug user gun ban is a leading charge. Gorsuch said the opinion was narrow and did not disturb other provisions of the law, which includes a ban on guns for drug addicts, ban on guns for people presently intoxicated, and prohibition of firearms for those deemed a danger to themselves or others. The ruling, I guess I just read the whole story almost. I'll let you last two.
Okay. The ruling would not, for example, have prevented the prosecution of Hunter Biden under the law, since he was a known and admitted drug addict while in possession of a firearm. The decision was most immediately a victory for plaintiff Ali Hamani, a Texas man who admitted using marijuana every other day while keeping a Glock 9mm pistol at his home. He was prosecuted by federal authorities for a single charge of unlawful possession of a drug as a drug user, but was neither intoxicated or physically holding the weapon when arrested. A federal appeals court tossed out Hamani's indictment, saying the ban as applied to him was unconstitutional. The justice agrees with that decision. More than 40 states have legalized marijuana in some form. It remains prohibited under federal law. Today's unanimous 9-1 decision makes it clear that the government cannot make it a crime for people to own a gun, which the Supreme Court has held is a fundamental constitutional right, simply because they use marijuana, said Cecilia Wang, a legal director at the American Civil Liberties Union. With nearly half of Americans reporting marijuana use at some point in their lives, this ruling protects the rights of millions and curbs the government's ability to impose arbitrary and discriminatory penalties, Wang wrote in a statement. The court has sent a strong message that the government cannot criminalize the conduct of large numbers of people by making categorical and unfounded assumptions about whether they are dangerous. The decision was also praised by the National Rifle Association as a major victory for the Second Amendment and peaceful gun owners across America. No one should be deprived of their God-given right to keep and bear arms for engaging in nonviolent conduct. And there's no historical justification for doing so, said the NRAILA director, John Comerford, in a statement to ABC News. Gun safety advocates, which had joined the Trump administration in opposing a rollback of the drug user gun ban, said the bulk of the law remains a robust and common sense public safety measure. Although the court said that that the particular law at issue is, in this case, cannot be upheld specifically as to the person challenging it, it's reaffirmed the ability of legislatures to restrict firearm access by certain categories of people, said Chris Brown, president of Brady, a gun safety group. So again, just because you smoke weed doesn't mean you're a dangerous person. And that's what we need to understand here. Like, most law-abiding gun owners who smoke weed aren't going around shooting places up. Let's just face it. It's the unstable, mentally health-challenged people who are out there shooting people up. It's the hard drug users and dealers and cartels that are using firearms. It is not your average pothead down the street. Just saying. Not seeing a whole lot of that in the news these days, but I'm seeing a whole lot of like gangs, make it make sense. You can't make marijuana unsafe in that sense in my mind. I don't see it. You're more apt to get someone who's drunk going around shooting people than someone who smoked a joint.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Again, as you said, make it make sense, right?
And just propaganda.
Yep. Well, folks, we've reached that part of our show where you know what time it is. It's medication time.
That's right, folks. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our amazing sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles making mainstream media news.
That's right. We'll be back in 4 minutes. We'll be back in just a few minutes. In fact, 4 minutes, 20 seconds here on Ganja News Update on NOK Network.
My name is John Mark, aka Sublimated Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyndinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set. One dab, only really need one dab. One dab.
Smoke Signal is a medical dispensary where you can get all your products and needs.
Vaping a whole bunch. Might just start laying off the blunts. God. Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram. Go and hold it in, feel it in your ribs.
So come and check us out in Tyndinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyndinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year, movie nights, spotlights on entertainment, and live on location coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Facebook. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com.
Dirty Dave, award-winning cultivator for over 4 decades. Dirty Dave, prized genetics fueled by advanced nutrients, original OG organics. Dirty Dave, award-winning products available at these fine establishments.
but I would not feel so alone.
Ask your shop to carry Dirty Dave. Contact us at dirtiesdoggies@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the show in our regular program.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Ganja News Updates on NOK Network.
That's right. And we have another set of stories coming at you, making cannabis news. So let's get at it. And our next story is coming to us from, oh, hold on. Why can't I get, just give me a second here. There we go. I guess I'll have to keep it down smaller there. Comes to us from MJ Biz Daily. Glass House separates cultivation from adult use cannabis retail. Files for NYSE uplisting. And this is a hook on a story we did last week. Trulieve, I believe it was the first to apply to get onto the New York Stock Exchange. And we've got a second company now doing the same thing. California-based mega cultivator Glass House Brands applied for listing on the New York Stock Exchange after shifting its assets around to go medical cannabis only, the company said. And this was published on June 18th of this year by Chris Roberts. Following an established script, publicly traded cannabis operator, another publicly traded cannabis operator has separated its medical cannabis from its adult use holdings in a bid to uplist on the New York Stock Exchange. But California-based vertically integrated operator Glass House Brands said in documents filed Thursday that it plans to go beyond uplisting to the NYSE. Specifically, the company said it's preparing for export and interstate commerce. The company previously said in a press release Wednesday that it's applied to list on the NYSE after segregating its medical and adult use businesses. If successful, Glass House would become the second U.S.-based cannabis company to list on a major mainstream American exchange after Florida-based marijuana multi-state operator Trulieve Cannabis Corp.
Yeah. How is cannabis operator Glass House Brands preparing for uplisting? According to documents filed with the Canadian Securities Exchange, where Glass House is currently listed, the company's California-based adult use cannabis retail operation is now held by its former indirectly wholly owned subsidiary Glass House Retail. Okay, that's a word pizza. With two companies, the two companies are still related. A Glass House subsidiary owns 90% of Glass House Retail, which with an outside investor, NSJB Investments, acquiring 10% for approximately $2.5 million, according to documents filed with this CSE. California-based business records identified NSJB Investments CEO as Jared Belkey. Nicholas Saris and Glass House Brands founder and CEO Kyle Kazan are all on the board of GHR, according to documents. Graham Fahar, Glass House Brands president, did not immediately respond for a request for comment on Thursday. CSE documents filed Wednesday value Glass House Retail at approximately $20 million. Newly medical-only Glass House Brands reported losing $29.8 million in 2025 on revenue of $181 million. Wow.
Right. Can cannabis operators uplist while also servicing the adult use market? While it's still not entirely clear what convinced the NYSE to list Trulieve, the company did establish a model to follow that also includes filing for a U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration registration. That's an option available to state-compliant medical operators following the April 23rd Justice Department final order reclassifying medical cannabis as a Schedule III drug. Glass House applied for that designation in May, as did several other cannabis MSOs with adult use operations. While detaching its adult use retail, it wasn't immediately clear how Glass House divided its well-known cultivation operations between adult use and medical to satisfy the NYSE. Glass House operates a massive 7-acre grow in Carpinteria in Southern California's Santa Barbara County that supplies its 10 retail locations in the state. In a separate investor deck also filed with the CSE on Thursday, Glass House said it had converted all licenses for California medical. Glass House's remaining operations consist of only medical marijuana facilities licensed by the state of California and the DEA, the deck reads.
Is Glass House preparing for cannabis exports and interstate commerce? That same deck also suggests Glass House is diversifying for all future scenarios. The company said it had sold its first hemp harvest earlier this year and also applied for an export license. According to Glass House Deck's, medical cannabis export and interstate commerce between DEA registered operators becomes feasible. A company spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment. More regulatory changes include reclassification of adult use cannabis, could follow hearings before a DEA administrative law judge scheduled to begin June 29th. Notably, the Trump Justice Department's final order reclassified only medical marijuana, a since abandoned Biden administration era proposal would have seen all cannabis move to Schedule III.
Yeah, so interesting there. That's the second company now that's applied to list on the New York Stock Exchange. And I'm sure many more that you'll hear from us here on Ganja News Update.
Yeah, now would this have a lot to do with the way companies are taxed down there? Remember we were talking about they have a tax code, and if they're recreational, so maybe that's what their move is, like to diversify, so they're not taxed the same because they're growing medical versus recreational.
Yeah, so they get to, because we did do a story on that last week or the week before, or something recently, where it will allow these companies to be able to keep more of their own their profits instead of having to pay out in taxes.
Yeah, so I wonder if they were going to see a lot more of these companies doing both, right, to kind of balance their books.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see though, because there's a lot of assets shifting around and all that, and apparently, I guess it's all legal. I guess until someone challenges something and whatever, maybe it's legal loopholes, maybe it is maybe an actual process. I don't know. But yeah, because it did say in this story here that they didn't know on what basis. I think it was that on what basis that the New York Stock Exchange decided to allow True Leave to list. So yeah, I don't know, but
interesting.
We'll be learning more about this as time goes on.
Yeah,
and talking about time moving on. Time is moving on, and we're going over to our next story here. Do you mind starting this one for us?
Yeah, so this article is coming to us from normal.org. Virginia governor agrees to revised marijuana sales measure. And it looks like it was just written by Normal on June 16th of this year. Legislatures and Democratic Governor Abigail Spanberger announced today they have agreed to advance legislation regulating the retail sale of cannabis products to those 21 years or older. The language is included in a budget bill, which lawmakers will be debating in a special session next week. Under the plan, retail sales will begin on July 1st, 2027. The announcement of a compromise weeks after Governor Spanberger vetoed a previous standalone version of the retail bill. The veto elicited pushback from Democratic lawmakers and voters, some 60% of whom supported permitting retail marijuana sales statewide. Virginia voters for years have made it clear that they want a regulated retail cannabis market and are pleased to see the administration and patrons come together to navigate a path forward, said Normal's Development Director J.M. Panini, who also serves as the Executive Director of Virginia Normal. This compromise represents a meaningful step towards bringing Virginia's cannabis law in line with public opinion and moving the Commonwealth closer to a marketplace that consumers have long demanded. Panini added, although Normal has deep concerns about provisions in the bill to increase the civil penalty for public cannabis consumption, we are encouraged by other areas of broader agreement. This bill establishes consumer-friendly, regulated marketplace, improves public safety, and provides clear rules for everyone involved. Today's announcement is an important milestone, and we look forward to continuing the work of building a marketplace that meets consumer demand while prioritizing safety, accountability, and access.
Speaking at today's press conference, the governor said, "This is what good governing and collaboration looks like, bringing people together, listening carefully, and focusing on solutions that are practical, enforceable, and in the best interest of Virginians." In the end, we all wanted to deliver a marketplace that the Commonwealth could implement effectively for the long term. We have always had this same end goal, an end goal that has been years in the making. So I am proud to stand alongside these dedicated legislators and to be working alongside them to deliver a marketplace built to last. Virginia lawmakers enacted legislation in 2021 legalizing the use, possession, and personal cultivation of marijuana by adults. That legislation called upon politicians to approve retail sales in a subsequent 2022 vote. However, when Republicans gained control of the House and the governorship in 2022, they failed to advance legislation to do so. After Democrats regained the House, their 2024 and 2025 legislative efforts to regulate retail sales were vetoed by former Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin. Virginia is the only adult use state that does not currently regulate the retail sales of cannabis products. So yeah, we originally reported on Governor Spanberger vetoing the previous bill. However, she made comments on it that she's not opposed to the retail sales. There was just a few things in it that she didn't necessarily agree with,
right?
And to put it back to the table for discussion, and that discussion has happened, and it's things are moving along.
Yeah.
So, we're moving on and talking about moving along. We're moving along over to our last story here now for today, and this is a cool one. Coming to us from Science Daily. Scientists found a cannabis compound that relieves pain without the high. Cannabis aroma compounds may hold the key to powerful pain relief without the high. This was done on June 20th of this year. Source: University of Arizona, Office of Research and Partnerships. And summary here, quick summary is compounds responsible for the aroma of cannabis and many other plants may offer a surprising new way to relieve chronic pain. Researchers found that several cannabis-derived terpenes, significantly reduced pain in mouse models of fibromyalgia and post-surgical pain with one terpene, geranol, geraniol, showing especially strong effects. Unlike THC, these compounds are not associated with psychoactive effects, making them a potentially attractive alternative for pain treatment. And the story goes on to say, here researchers at the University of Arizona Health Sciences have identified compounds from the cannabis sativa plant that may offer a new way to treat fibromyalgia and post-surgical pain. The findings published in pharmacological reports add to the growing evidence that certain cannabis-derived molecules could help relieve chronic pain without causing the psychoactive effects associated with THC. And the study builds on earlier work from the lab of John Stryker, PhD, a member of the Comprehensive Center for Pain and Addiction, which found that terpenes could reduce pain in models of inflammation and chemotherapy-related nerve damage. There's a quote here. Our research is showing that terpenes are not Our research is showing that terpenes are not a good option for reducing acute pain resulting from an injury, such as stubbing your toe or touching a hot stove. However, we are seeing significant reductions in pain when terpenes are used for chronic or pathological pain, said Stryker, who is a professor in the U of A College of Medicine, Tucson's Department of Pharmacology. This study was the first to investigate the impact of terpenes in preclinical models of fibromyalgia and postoperative pain and expand the scope of potential pain-relieving treatments using terpenes.
Interesting. Cannabis terpenes.
So like studies are like more and more research is now happening. Official research from within the states and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I mean we've talked about terpenes and how we feel they play a part in how each strain relieves certain symptoms, right? Yeah. So this is kind of cool research that they're starting to narrow down some of the ones that are working better for certain conditions. Yeah. And even cooler that they don't get you high, which for some people would appeal to them because they're not cannabis users, but they wouldn't hesitate to take something their doctor prescribes that's maybe derived from a cannabis plant that isn't going to get them high because they don't want to get high, right? So it's kind of cool. Terpenes are natural compounds responsible for the scent and flavor of many plants. In cannabis, they contribute to the plant's distinctive aroma and may also have medicinal properties. Unlike tetrahydrocannabidiol or THC, terpenes do not produce the unwanted psychoactive effects commonly associated with cannabis. This makes them appealing to an area of research for scientists searching for new pain treatments. For this study, researchers examined 4 terpenes commonly found in cannabis sativa: geraniol, linalool, beta-carphenolene, and alpha-humulene. In mouse models of fibromyalgia and postoperative pain, all 4 components produce substantial pain-relieving effects. Geranol delivered the strongest results, followed by linalool, beta-carphenolene, and alpha-humulene. New hope for fibromyalgia treatment. And this is where all my pain issues stem from. I have fibromyalgia. So new hope for fibromyalgia treatment. Fibromyalgia remains one of the most challenging chronic pain conditions to treat. The disorder affects muscles and soft tissue throughout the body and is estimated to impact up to 5% of the global population, according to research published in Healthcare Basel in 2023. In the United States alone, about 4 million adults have fibromyalgia, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office on Women's Health. Women are affected more often than men. With fibromyalgia, there isn't much understanding of what the pain state is. There is a lot of great options for treating it. There's not a lot of great options for treating it, Streicher said. Our findings show that terpenes may be a viable treatment option for fibromyalgia pain, which could potentially have large impact and make a difference for an undertreated population. And it's true, because there aren't really, like, fibromyalgia has been around for a while, but there's been no specific studies on, medications in general. They just kind of throw a bunch of antidepressants and nerve blockers and opioids at it and hope something sticks. And that seems to be the case.
Yeah. I know several people with fibromyalgia, and it's been an up and down battle over the years. Some medications will work for a certain period of time and then stop working, and all of that. So the linalool in particular is one of my favorite ones to deal with my neuropathic pain. And, it's amazing. Both terpenes. Potential alternative for post-surgical pain. The researchers also explored whether terpenes could help with pain following surgery. Post-surgical pain occupies a unique middle ground between acute and chronic pain. Although it is typically temporary, surgery triggers biological changes, including inflammation and increased sensitivity within the body's pain pathways, which can intensify discomfort. Opioids do a good job controlling post-surgical pain, but they can cause constipation that can increase the chances of post-surgical complications, such as adhesions, Stryker said. We are always looking for better options, and this study suggests that terpenes could be a novel therapeutic for post-operative pain. According to research published in the International Journal of Surgery in 2020, roughly 310 million major surgical procedures are performed worldwide each year, highlighting the need for safer and more effective pain management options. Natural compounds continue to surprise scientists. Todd Vandera, PhD, director of the Comprehensive Center for Pain and Addiction at U of A Health Sciences, and professor and head of the Department of Pharmacology at the U of A College of Medicine, Tucson, said the findings underscore the value of exploring chemicals produced by nature. There's a quote here. The research that is being done by Dr. Stryker's lab on terpenes and their potential to help those who suffer from chronic pain demonstrates the importance of basic research. There are hundreds of unique chemicals that plants make, including the cannabis plant, that are undiscovered, Vandera said. Nature is incredible at making unique chemical structures, and many of these chemicals are unknown when it comes to their abilities to aid in human health, diseases, and disorders. A great current example is medication semaglutide, sold under the brand name Ozempic, which has a chemical structure that was isolated not from a plant, but from an animal that is prevalent in the Southwest, the Gila monster. These discoveries from natural products through research, such as Dr. Stryker's, can result in very useful medications. That's pretty cool.
Ozempic for diabetics is one thing. Ozempic for off-label weight loss, I would highly advise against. Just saying. It has made many, many people sick, and they are currently being sued.
That's what I have heard.
Interesting that they're trying to relate that to, like, a cannabis story. But anyways, how terpenes may work. The team also found that compounds appeared to act through the same biological pathways identified in previous terpene studies. Specifically, the pain-relieving effects were linked to the adenosine A2A receptor, a receptor that caffeine targets and blocks, suggesting that terpenes may also have sedative properties. Research says that the possibility warrants further investigation. The study's co-authors included Caleb Seekins, a former undergraduate biochemistry student in Stryker's lab, who is now pursuing a medical degree at the College of Medicine, Tucson. Alyssa Webborn, who earned a Bachelor's of Science in Pharmaceutical Sciences in 2024. Abigail Swartz, who completed her doctorate in Schreizer's lab in 2024. Very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool to see this stuff coming out mainstream. Stuff that we kind of, that people among the cannabis community who are using this as medicine kind of already suspected because of our own personal experiences.
Absolutely.
It's called anecdotal evidence in the real world. But it looks like a lot of our anecdotal evidence is being backed up by real science, which is exciting to see.
Absolutely. Really, we've all been saying this for years. I mean, as a fibromyalgia patient myself, I was on 29 pharmaceuticals. 29.
Yep.
And I still was in pain and not doing any better. But just keep taking them. Just keep taking them. And then cannabis became a thing. And the amount of pain relief I got off of one puff, off of one hitter was like, are you effing kidding me right now? I'm going to kill that pain doctor. I'm taking all this when this little bit just did what all of this was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. My story is very similar. 23 pills a day, maximum dose of both Advil and Tylenol. I was also on like some heavy duty opiates as well. I was also on some other medications to help with the constipation and other stuff and everything. I was on blood pressure medication, I was on cholesterol medication, and like, wow, I got onto that pharma train and it was barreling down the track, and it was ready to derail. And it almost derailed my life until that first joint I ever had back in June of 2017. First few puffs had me chair locked for 3 hours and I couldn't get up, but I was not in pain.
Right.
That moment,
light bulb moment.
That holy crap, why was I not given this as an option years ago?
Same.
Why did I have to suffer all this long? Now I still deal with pain and stuff like that at times, but it's manageable.
Yeah.
And now I'm managing 4,000 square feet of gardens on my property here, and doing many podcasts a week, living a productive life instead of sitting in a chair all day long. And when I have to get out, I used to get around with a mobility scooter and cane.
Right.
I don't use any of that now.
No.
All things.
Isn't that wild, eh?
And I attribute it to the terpenes.
Absolutely. Certain strains seem to work better for certain things. And you and I have discussed that at length, what our theories and speculations are. And now we're starting to see it come out. And it's like, right.
Anyways, I'm just noticing the time here. You got another show you got to record. So we'll finish our lines off real quick here, and then you can just take off and do what you need to do. So on that note, I just want to thank you all for joining us here this week again on Ganja News Update on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble page, and as well as our social media sites.
That's right, folks. We hope you enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of cannabis news and information from around the globe.
And last but not least, many thanks to our sponsors for making this show possible. And don't forget to check them out, folks. And thank you to my joint host, right on over here, Tara Simpson, and to you, our listeners, for joining us here each week on Education Mondays with Ganja News Update on NOK Network. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Ganja me meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja we take away my stress and strain. Ganja me meditation. meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me essence and they make me feel pure. 100 ways to call it, we be bring it on tour. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my